a bunch of updates that I want to cover today, so we're just going to jump right into it and actually start with the Piranha tank. It's a little bit cloudy right now, simply because I just fed them. Earlier, I offered them some trout, and it was a 14-inch trout that I got from the grocery store, and they wouldn't touch it until, of course, I had cut it in half, made it smaller, probably less intimidating to them, and then they started having a little bit of it. But the big ones did not, so I'm going to have to give them a little meal here later when the tank kind of clears up. But darn near every time I feed, they will dart into the grass and whatnot and kind of kick up that planted tank substrate and make an entire mess out of it, which is incredibly frustrating. But, you know, no matter what I do, it's going to continue to happen. But in time, to be fair, I still haven't built the filter. I might even actually just do it tonight because it's going to make a massive improvement on the mechanical capabilities of this filtration system. Fantastic biologically, but mechanically it's just not there right now. And once I have better mechanical filtration, I'm also going to increase the overall flow in the tank, and we'll just have a much more healthier looking environment, although this is perfect. The fish are doing fantastic. They're absolutely loving their new series where I feed them something different from the grocery store every day, from beef heart to liver. They've had frozen octopus. They've had, salmon skin. I'm not sure if you guys have seen those, but these guys are having an incredibly varied diet lately, and they are here for it, just absolutely loving it. And I'm going to continue to do that for a little bit while longer, but I do have another thing I want to announce besides that being something new that I've been doing. Tyrese and I, Tyrese and everybody, we're going to Twitch soon. Starting in March, I'm launching a whole brand new show. It's either going to be 3 nights a week or upwards of 5 nights a week for 2 hours at a time. We're going to be live streaming tanks. I'm going to be hosting some games and fun things that you guys are really going to enjoy. I'm going to likely do some presentations. I might do my podcast live on there. Now, some of you might say, why don't you do it on YouTube? And the simple reason is the live, you guys have seen my lives here. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's not that great, so I'm just going to go to Twitch and live stream there. I'm going to leave a link in the description to my Twitch account. Subscribe now, it's free, and you'll get notified as soon as I go live on there. I might even actually recommend, talk about it here in the future. I might even create a second channel to upload everything we do there right here to YouTube, but I'm definitely excited to do that. Now, this tank, it's doing great. I mean, there's nothing really to update on besides, to be fair, the Oscars look absolutely gorgeous. The Asian Arowana, that's an easy one to update on. He's always gorgeous. One of the things I do want to kind of point out is I want you to take note of the body shape of my fish. A lot of the times when you see these bichers, that's not a bicher, move. When you see a bicher like this, they spend a lot of their time being dormant, and they have incredibly large bellies, simply because they're overweight. I've found that if I only feed this tank every other day, the fish are far more active, and their body shapes and forms are absolutely, well, in my opinion, perfect. You'll also see Asian Arowana sometimes, and I don't want to point anybody out or point fingers or say anything like that, but I know people that have an Arowana the exact same age as mine, but it's just enormous in terms of its width, and you could tell that that fish is massively overweight. The ideal body shape of an Asian Arowana is simple, or is similar to what you see here. You can kind of see its belly. Its belly should have that pinched line along the bottom, and it looks like you'd almost cut your finger on it. Obviously, he's quite thick, but you also don't want the sides of him bulging out. It's almost like a dog. If you look at a dog from the top of it, you don't want its the sides of it bulging out, otherwise, clearly overweight. Oscars are incredibly difficult to keep their sides slim, but as you can see, these guys are in fantastic shape, yet they are not overweight. Now, obviously, I can grow them out a lot faster if I power feed, but I have absolutely no interest in doing that, which brings up another topic. If I plan to breed my black diamond stingrays in here, they need to be power fed. It's called conditioning them. I'm going to need to feed them 2 to 3 times a day for about a month or two to condition the males and females into knowing, okay, well, and that's the fascinating thing about rays is they know when to breed and the best conditions to do so. They also have the ability, believe it or not, to absorb any pups that are in the female's belly to ensure the health of the female. It's just an absolutely incredible species of animal. One that obviously is my favorite, but that's one of the problems that I have like this, is I love seeing the tank just like this with all these fish in it. They're not even full grown yet. I mean, the Asian Arowana might put on a few more inches. The Oscars likely, they're about 8 to 10 inches right now. They don't look it because obviously they're swimming beside a 2-foot-long fish. The Beischer's going to grow twice as long. The Ray's obviously going to get much bigger. But everybody's happy and healthy and active. I mean, even the Sunshine Pleco was out and doing his thing. But like I said, if I'm going to breed these guys, I'm going to have to figure out something for the Rays. I'd love for them to breed, but I don't want to have to do what I need to do, which is likely just have them in this tank or move them to another one and create just a simple monster aquarium and perhaps put my Rays in the 375, which we're going to get to in a minute. So I guess we'll kind of talk about some puffers right quick. Geez, this guy's so funny, so cute. He loves it. This is Tyrese, my Fahaka puffer. He's about 8 inches, 10 inches, but I did end up doing what I said I might do, which is add in the Java fern to the center there. Now he's got a beautiful little bouquet of flowers for any potential women that might come around, but obviously getting another Fahaka puffer, that's the opposite sex of him, at this size, likely incredibly impossible. And I'm not willing to kind of test that. But maybe, you know, maybe one day we can come across something like that. But right now I'm obsessed with Dwight. Dwight is my porcupine puffer. The reason I have puffer fish in the first place, the first time I ever seen a porcupine puffer, I knew I had to have one. But I never had the opportunity. I either never got to see them in the stores, or I simply didn't have a tank ready for one when I did see one. So recently, well, 2-3 months ago, I think it was, this used to be the Seahorse aquarium. It used to be the Tony Tips aquarium. I brought those guys in the house, and I gave this to Dwight here. I just had to have him. It made so much more sense to have a puffer and puffer, although I believe Dwight is eventually going to make it in here with the lionfish, where he kind of started off. As I was like hiding him and quarantining all of them together in a 180. But they do incredibly well. The lionfish are just doing fantastic. I love the contrast and coloration in these guys. These guys are just absolute beasts when it comes to eating as well. But anyways, cleaning these tanks, as you can imagine, is pretty straightforward. Dwight's tank has gone to bare bottom simply because I was having a cyanobacteria issue. And I noticed as soon as I took it out, it all died. I also added in more flow. There's a little bit more right there. And I'm just trying to let the shrimp eat it. And I know people say, oh, shrimp can't go with puffers. Yeah, okay. I don't believe you. Some things work, some things don't. And that goes for methods of fish keeping as well. Some things work for you and you believe it's the best way, while somebody else will have the exact same type of fish and do something incredibly different, yet have success as well. That's the beauty of the hobby. There's not just one way to do it. But this is my planted saltwater tank. It's absolutely ugly. I know that it is. Lots of detritus and algae everywhere. But I just kind of leave it alone and let the shrimp just devour whatever they want in here. And Dwight's always begging for food. We got to do a feeding video. I haven't done a feeding video for a long time. And we're definitely due for one. I'll tell you about the saltwater tank over there here in another video lightly, but right now I kind of want to talk about the Discus tank. First and foremost, I did add in more Java moss to this tank by simply draining it during a big water changes and gluing on more of the Java moss, which I did have another algae outbreak, as you can see. This time I'm leaving it and just letting water changes and clean water do it. But with that said, look at how active and how great these guys are doing. And feel free to count them if you want to pause the screen. I haven't lost a single one. And I thought we were going to lose half of them because they came in such poor quality, in such bad shape, but they're doing absolutely fantastic right now. And I believe a lot of it has to do with believe it or not, the water quality in here is great. And I do like leaving the algae there. Algae will die off if it doesn't have a food source, and I don't mind the way it looks anyways. What's the difference between that algae and, you know, some beautiful Java fern? Not a whole big, kind of both look the same to me. The fish absolutely love it, and that's what's most important to me. I'm not a massive grade aquascape or anything like that. I'm a fish keeper. But the big reason why I do have algae in this tank especially is, well, a couple reasons. I don't really touch anything besides water changes. The other thing is their diet. You guys know I feed my beef heart recipe to these Discus, and it's incredibly high in nutrients as well as organic substances that simply just pollute the water, and especially if you overfeed. But these guys seem to be eating everything that I offer. Anything that they don't eat, I just take it out, but I haven't had to do that yet. My concern is maybe something's in the rocks, but I don't think so. Ultimately, though, this has been the simplest and easiest discus tank that I've kept that actually had something in it. You guys know that I've taught for years, well over 10 years, how to keep discus, how to be successful with them, how to breed them, how to build tanks for them, filtration, absolutely every aspect you can imagine. But I never really scaped them. This tank is going to last them long term. This will be life. They'll be fine in here. It's a bare bottom. It's everything I want to do. I just drain the tank 50% for them. I don't know, every 3 days or once a week, depending on my schedule and what I feel like doing. And that's all they get. And I drop in food once a day right now. Once a day because I don't want to pollute the tank. They're all in great body shape. I'm not looking to power feed them or anything like that. We will be upping it to 2 smaller meals a day. Right now they get 1 big meal. We're going to do 2 small meals eventually, and then 3 small meals, depending on their growth and that sort of thing. But I did find when I first got them, adding in food twice a day, they just weren't eating any of it. So I just wait until nighttime. I drop in a couple of chunks of the beef heart recipe that I showed you guys how to make a few times, and they just go absolutely nuts for it. They eat it, and they do fantastic that way. It's better than overfeeding the tank or they're not eating at all. Right now, they are hungry, so let me see if they'll come over here. You see they're dead. Isn't this cool? Come on, guys. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I was not expecting this out of these guys. I was not expecting them to be this friendly. I'm going to be abundantly clear and abundantly fair. I was not expecting them to even survive. I know when I see a fish, I can look at it right at the store and know whether I want to buy it or not. I am also not seeing any signs of stunting. How do you know if a discus is even stunted? Well, this is a great perspective right here. We just look at the sides of them. We look at their eyes in relation to their bodies. None of them have the sunken bellies anymore, but some of them still are a little skinnier than others. That's fine. Over the next few weeks, everything's going to change. They keep darting because I talk with my hands, sorry. But yeah, absolutely love this tank. Every tank I'm setting up now, I want it to be the centerpiece of everything. Wait till you see what I'm doing over here. No. Wait till you see what is inspiring me to do next over there. Oh, and the other thing. Okay. You see how you don't see through them? Well, you can kind of see through them. But I tinted the backs. I just took some basic window tint. Not a great job or whatever. And tinted it. I can still see into it if I need to. But this just makes it so much better for them. It makes them feel a little bit more secure. I did find they were all bunched up in the corner far more often before this background was on there. So very interesting. And to be honest with you, when I didn't have it, I didn't really like the look of being able to see through the tanks and see wires and see my projects and other things that I'm working on and doing. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. But because of, we got to talk about this in a minute. Yeah, in a minute. So this tank, there's no lights on it right now. They're just running off of those LED grow lights up there. And it's going to be difficult to see. But if you remember this, yeah, no, you're not going to be able to see it. The reflection, I'm not putting a light on it right now. But look at the flow in the tank. Look at the rocks. And then we had the wood coming over it. I think I wanted to do this many, many years ago. I believe Oliver Lucanus brought in these pumps and wanted, was talking about river tanks. I'm talking 15 years ago or something. And you need these massive pumps to create a massive amount of flow. I'm thinking about doing a river tank in here, and what that means is a massive amount of flow on this end, and it flows to this. However, it just continuously cycles through it. The water level should typically be higher over here. I think it would just be absolutely amazing. Or, and I don't know if you guys are going to like this, but we're going to do a quick but it's going to screw up plans for something else that I bought, fish that I got a while ago. Starting to get some snow. And some of you guys are going to be like, Joey, what are you doing? I just haven't been able to decide, so don't get upset when you see this. Remember the tanks that I built into the walls down here? Nothing's changed yet, at all. In fact, I got to check on the wood. I change the water in here every few days, but it looks like it's mostly sinking. On top of that is just organic material, and the discoloration is tannins. Not that bad. Oh, I was also working on something else here. This is a ton of styrofoam. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to tell you. And sorry for the scatterbrain and so many different topics within this video. This was, all these little topics were supposed to be their individual videos. But then I was like, no, I don't really want to do that just on that video. And then tonight I was like, I gotta update everybody on everything because I have so many other things that I'm planning on. But I was going to take all of that styrofoam and I was going to carve it to have these big rock centerpieces here. But I was going to carve them to have these big rocks and cement over them. I've shown you guys how to do 3D backgrounds before, but never like 3D rocks where you can place wherever you want in your tank, silicone them in place. I thought that would be cool. Similar to the original goldfish tank because I want to do goldfish in there. But I also kind of thinking maybe I do the koi in here until, you know, a year or two, and then we do goldfish. I don't know. Now I'm thinking, what if they're both river tanks? What if it starts in this tank and ends in that tank? This is why I can't make my mind up. I have so many awesome ideas, and maybe that's not an awesome idea for you guys, but and I want one of everything. And that's why it's so fun to like set up a tank, stock it, etc., then start over. Like before a single fish was in the aquarium gallery, that's what I said we were going to do. And the reason behind it was because you can only do so much with one tank. You can only inspire and reach so many people. And I'm not building an entire building just to reach a small group of people because they like the certain tanks that are in it. I have to keep going, keep building, keep switching tanks out, keep adding fish, keep doing that sort of thing. And that worked incredibly successfully, and I loved every minute of it. There's some downsides to it because you do have some tanks and you really don't want to move on from that. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll talk about all my favorite tanks that I wish I never had to stick to the plan with. Obviously the Piranha tank's not going to go anywhere at all, ever. It was too expensive to set up. There's too many plants in there, invested too much time. The tank's too heavy. I don't know where I would put 30 Piranha. The other option and the other topic I want to talk about is the 2000, and which is going to, let's just do it. Look how beautiful these koi are getting. These are ghost koi, so they look absolutely stunning from above. There's 2 yellows and 2 whites. Lots of algae in this tank, but I leave it. I leave it because every time I clean it, the Frontosa, who are just in here, because I don't know what I want to do with them, but I don't want to get rid of them. Every time I clean it, the Frontosa gets skittish. Obviously, I could scape the tank and that sort of thing, but I don't want to do that either because we have other plans for it, which there's a red-tailed catfish in the back corner I'm going to show you in a minute. But when it comes to these guys, they might go in the 180s, or maybe I put them in the 2000 with the red-tailed catfish and turn this into a stingray breeding project. 375 gallons, 8x3x2, absolutely perfect size. For the size of my rays right now. Even better for the Asian Arowana that I built it for in the first place. But I did see some people were like, Joey, didn't you have a red-tailed catfish and you had to get rid of it? And that was never what happened. Oh, wow. You are getting some beautiful yellow on the side of you. Look at this guy. I love that starch white and black. Wow. I wonder what he's going to look like in a couple of years. And look at him, the other yellow one. And then the other white and black one. Just absolutely stunning. Look at the size. Move, Mono. Look at the size of that Frontosa. Isn't that insane? Yeah, you just seen an angelfish with a Frontosa with a mono, with a koi. But it works and everybody's doing fine. One of the things that, remember when I built the pond, I seen like a lot of people keeping these massive fish, and I said, look, if you have to keep these fish, here's how to build what was a 1,300 gallon pond for next to nothing. If you got to do it, here's an option. I had no plans on keeping the catfish long term, the red-tailed catfish. The point of getting it was to show you just how fast it grows. I did that, and then I showed you how to build the pond. And once all of that series was done and I accomplished everything I wanted to do, I already had a home lined up for that guy months prior. But I have to admit, just like many of you guys, I missed it, and I wanted more. So I got another red-tailed catfish, and somebody, I seen some comments like, you have nowhere to put it. Well, we can grow it out in the 375 for a year or two. But I also have a 2,000 gallon aquarium, and that's just what I'm willing to say on camera right now. Anyways, I have a red-tailed catfish. He's over here. If I can get down to see him, he always comes down here because the rest of the tank's quite active. But he's put on quite a bit of size. Now, I originally had 3. I kept 1 and 2 for somebody else. Of course, I bring fish in wholesale at times, and sometimes people get in on the orders. And the plan was, I get to grow out all 3. I paid for them. I get to grow out all 3. And when 2 of them get to about a foot long, I'll send them to you. But once I started sending pictures of how cute they were at such a little size, small size, and then they were growing every other day, my buddy was just like, come on, man, can I have them now? I want to do this with you. And so that's like our little catfish group where we, we just catfish each other. Anyways, I haven't had any caffeine or Red Bulls or anything like that for like 2 weeks. And I've downed a big boy. And these are dangerous. They make my heart beat. I should have drank that. I think that's everything I want to show you today. I think that's it, but yeah, that is the update of the aquarium gallery today. The shell dwellers are in the quarantine room. The planta tank, that's got to be its own video here shortly, simply because what I planned and what happened didn't happen, and I'm trying to fix it. And by trying to fix it, I mean leaving it completely, totally, and utterly alone, crossing my fingers that this is going to work. But I think when the plants came in, you can experience melting with lots of plants that are grown immersed instead of submerged, but once you put them submerged under the water, they can melt. But all of my plants melting, that tank's gonna be cool if this works, but right now I'm not showing it until that video's done, and it's probably gonna be like another month, maybe a couple weeks, but when it comes out, I think you guys are gonna absolutely love it. Look who follows me around. Isn't he awesome? Now, I've tried to find lionfish that the same size as these guys. It's just not happening lately. I did get a bunch of smaller ones, but it just simply didn't work out. They weren't eating. These guys wouldn't let them eat. And these guys became aggressive towards the other little ones, so I just scooped them all out, kind of moved the rock around. I'm going to rescape this again. I'm not a huge fan of the way it looks. I think what I might do is have the rock maybe cover the entire bottom, maybe be 6 to 8 inches off the floor with caves. And then I want to take all of these plants and plant the entire thing. So you have a small amount of rock going across the bottom, and then a massive amount of weeds and plants all growing through it, where I think these guys would absolutely adore. Isn't this interesting though? Anyways, that is the update for today. If you're not following me on Twitch, I highly suggest you. I'm really pumped about that. It turns out we already have most of the cameras, most of the streaming capabilities, and everything we need to do that. And if you don't have Twitch, I'll upload it to a second channel perhaps. We'll see. I'm just going to make it really easy to do. So I could just, you know, sit down, all camera, everything's already equipped, hit record or hit go live. And if I can make it do that, and if technology doesn't get in my way and make it cumbersome where I'm going to set up and it takes me an hour to set up, I just want to get down, sit, stream. I'm thinking we'll have cameras on every aquarium that I can switch, or maybe I can give you guys the ability to switch it up every once in a while. So now you guys are getting a 25-minute video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. I don't even know what we talked about. No more Red Bull moving forward. See you guys in the next video.